Governing others is an art, and throughout history, many philosophers have offered their own formula for mastering it. Among them, Arthur Schopenhauer, a German philosopher, proposed something surprisingly counterintuitive. Act like a fool rather than chase success openly, simply to avoid being labeled arrogant. Schopenhauer believed it was possible to earn respect and achieve success anywhere in the world by pretending to be less than what you truly are. There is something hidden in this idea that most people never consider, and by the time this conversation ends, you will understand exactly why the wisest people in the room are often the quietest. This particular strategy began taking shape during his own youth. When Schopenhauer was 19 years old, his mother wrote him a letter that would change the way he saw himself. She pointed out his constant need to show others that he knew more than they did. She acknowledged that he was brilliant, but she warned him that this brilliance did not make him more useful to the world. In fact, his desire to stand out was eclipsing his best qualities. That letter revealed Schopenhauer's internal struggle with his own intelligence. He understood that intellectual pride could elevate a person above the average, but it also attracted envy and resentment. So he developed a method for navigating this reality. Feign being slightly less capable than you are, and in doing so, create a strategic advantage that most people will never see coming. And what can we draw from this? The art of surprise. It is never wise to display all your strength at once. Appearing weaker creates the opportunity to act with precision at exactly the right moment. Many historical warriors employed this strategy with tremendous success. Pretending to be less capable leads your opponents to underestimate you, allowing you to reveal your full force at the precise instant it matters most, ensuring a victory they never saw coming. As Sun Tzu once affirmed, all warfare is based on deception. When we have the capacity to attack, it is wise to appear incapable. When we are acting, it is useful to seem inactive. This approach applies not only on battlefields, but in everyday life as well. Whether in meetings, competitions, or even casual conversations, some people distinguish themselves by observing more and speaking less, waiting for the perfect moment to express themselves with maximum impact. It is a strategy that echoes Gandhi's advice: speak only if it improves upon the silence. True leadership comes from knowing when to listen and when to speak. In any group, there are those who talk constantly and those who listen in silence. Curiously, those who talk too much, unless they are already in charge, are rarely taken seriously. Schopenhauer argued that wisdom lives in the discernment of when to speak and when to stay quiet. Pretending to be a fool does not mean being ignorant. It means knowing when to intervene and when to withdraw. Plato summarized it beautifully: wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools speak because they have to say something. If what you are hearing right now is resonating somewhere inside you, subscribe now to this channel and activate the bell so you never miss content like this, because every episode is designed to give you the kind of understanding that changes the way you move through the world. Listening carefully is one of the most powerful ways to gain an advantage. While you are collecting information around you, every detail absorbed becomes a precious piece that allows you, at the right moment, to present the most powerful idea in the room. People reveal everything when they feel they are speaking to someone who is not competing with them. They lower their guard. They share their real thoughts. They hand you the map of their mind without realizing it. Pretending not to know something can actually be an intelligent strategy for making others believe they arrived at their own conclusions. In the end, we are all surrounded by figures who deserve our careful handling. Parents, teachers, bosses, all of them deserve respect and sometimes delicate management. Even when our parents are wrong or as they grow older, there are ways to guide them without imposing our opinion. The advice is to sow ideas subtly so they feel the thoughts are coming from themselves. It is like a professional athlete who, with little visible effort, lets a special fan win a match, making them feel like a true champion. This creates an atmosphere of genuine respect and elevates the self-esteem of everyone involved. At work, managing those above us requires a particular set of skills. Sometimes it is better to pretend not to know something rather than place your superior in the uncomfortable position of being wrong. After all, keeping your job also means protecting the ego of others. You do not need to be masters of philosophy to understand this. If we already care about our work, we already have a certain instinct for it. Schopenhauer said that pretending to be a fool is ultimately the last resort for concealing the flaws of others. Protecting the dignity of those around us is a reminder that at the core, we all have feelings. Constantly correcting others only makes you the difficult one, the villain of every story. We do not always need to be the center of attention. For those who already shine, it may feel wonderful to have every eye on them. But before reaching that point, it is far wiser to be discreet. In difficult moments, making yourself the loudest voice in the room serves no purpose. On the contrary, showing vulnerability and admitting your limitations brings you closer to others in a way that arrogance never could. Schopenhauer speaks to this as well. Act as if you know nothing until the right moment arrives. Only then do you reveal your true capability. Until that moment, listening and learning are the only keys you need. There is an old saying that to reap the benefits of being perceived as simple, you must be willing to appear simple for a while. In the Tao Te Ching, this concept is explored with great depth. The Chinese philosopher suggests that the true sage avoids direct confrontation and never displays the full extent of their abilities. The sage wears simple clothes, but carries a jewel in their heart. On the outside, they appear ordinary, even unassuming. While inside, they carry a power that most people will never suspect. Socrates used this same approach through his famous irony. He feigned ignorance to encourage people to open up, ultimately revealing their own contradictions. His phrase, "I know that I know nothing," was not merely a slogan. It was a method for drawing knowledge out of others while appearing to have none himself. And it worked, because the ego of those around him was too flattered to see what was actually happening. Arthur Schopenhauer noticed something deeply intriguing about human nature. People worry far too much about what others think of them. It seems we spend a great portion of our lives imprisoned by the opinions of others, as if those opinions were the foundation of our happiness. But if we take the time to reflect, we realize that the vast majority of those opinions have no real impact on our personal growth. They are noise, static, the background hum of insecure minds projecting their own fears onto others. The truth is that we care enormously about how we are perceived. But what truly matters, at the deepest level, is winning people through humility. There is no use in acting with arrogance or pretension. The person who needs to remind you how powerful they are has already shown you how insecure they feel. The person who is truly powerful does not need to announce it because the room already knows. When you choose to conceal the errors of others to help them overcome their challenges, even when the result appears entirely to be their own achievement, you adopt the role of the wise fool. And that role, as modest as it may seem, carries extraordinary power. People begin to respect you without even realizing they are doing it. It is like being the outsider that nobody takes seriously, the one everyone overlooks, who in the end surprises everyone and earns a respect that lasts. Remember to be kind and compassionate. Everyone is fighting their own battle, and empathy is not a weakness. It is the most sophisticated form of intelligence. You have surely encountered people who love to boast after a victory, displaying their success as if they want to throw it in everyone's face. This kind of behavior does not attract admiration. On the contrary, it creates discomfort. As Frank Lucas once said brilliantly, "The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room." Schopenhauer, just like Lucas, believed that the secret to earning genuine respect lived in modesty. When you succeed and you act as though it was just an ordinary day, people see you differently. Pretending that success came without effort, without fanfare, is far more impressive than any boasting could ever be. This humility captivates people more than the victory itself. It leaves them wondering, how did they do that? Who is this person? Why do I want to follow them? And that is precisely the power Schopenhauer was describing all along. The wise fool is not pretending to be weak out of insecurity. They are pretending to be weak as a weapon. They understand that the world rewards those who seem approachable, those who do not threaten, those who make others feel intelligent and capable. The wise fool walks into a room and lets others take the glory, knowing full well that the real influence is invisible. There is something profound in that invisibility. The most powerful person in any room is not always the one speaking the loudest. It is often the one sitting quietly in the corner, watching, absorbing, calculating, and waiting for the one moment when everything they have observed becomes decisive. And when that moment arrives, nothing and nobody can stop them, because they have been preparing in silence while everyone else was busy performing. This is the art Schopenhauer was pointing to. Not the art of deception for its own sake, but the art of strategic patience. The art of knowing that your time will come and that forcing it prematurely only weakens its impact. Most people cannot resist the temptation to prove themselves immediately. They feel the urge to correct, to demonstrate, to be seen, to be acknowledged as the smartest person in the room. And in doing so, they spend all their power before the moment that truly counts. The wise fool does the opposite. They store, they observe, they accumulate understanding quietly, and they strike only when the moment is irreversible. Think of the bamboo that bends in the storm while the oak breaks. The bamboo does not bend out of weakness. It bends because it understands the storm. And when the storm passes, the bamboo is still standing, while the rigid oak is on the ground. That is the lesson Schopenhauer left us. Real strength is not the strength you display, it is the strength you hold in reserve. Real intelligence is not the intelligence you announce, it is the intelligence you deploy silently, at exactly the moment it changes everything. The world belongs not to those who shout the loudest, but to those who understand when silence is the most powerful statement they can make. These are my reflections on the lessons of Schopenhauer, showing that sometimes being the fool is the most intelligent way to win. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for allowing these words to enter your mind. This is not mere content. It is a conversation between two souls.